Atta boy. Yes, sir.
Why do parents seem to, in your opinion, why do parents seem to overlook D2 and below and just kind of fight for that D1 mentality no matter what, above all costs? Why do you think parents do that, and how can we change their outlook and their views on that?
The first thing I want to say is, when you talk about what a Division I talent is, I'm currently raising I got a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old. There's a couple kids through travel sports and things, when you know. And I think parents don't often understand that what it takes to become a Division I athlete, there's a lot of things that go into it. One of them, I think the most underrated intangibles are genetics and raw athletic ability that you were born with. It makes a huge, you see it at a really young age. Now, if that kid develops work ethic and develops his skill, he has a chance. And I see that in just simple motor skills for 7 and 8-year-olds. Some of them have it, some of them don't. There's not a kid there that reminds me of a kid I coached in American Legion like 10, 11 years ago, who played at Miami of Ohio and he was a pretty good player there. He was one of the best players in this area ever. And he was just a pretty good player. And no disrespect to his career, but he was doing those things when he was 7, 8 years old. And people were like, have you seen this kid swing at 7, 8 years old? And he was a pretty good player in the MAC. So I think that mentality comes from the idea of what is rich. Rich is having cars, having money, big house, big swimming pool, fancy clothes. Everybody wants to be rich and wants that idea. So the concept of going to a Division II, a Division III school isn't as attractive because it doesn't seem to be top notch or top echelon, right? And you spoke on that. There's a lot. I have kids on my roster, several, that can go play Division I baseball today. They were not there when they were 14, 15, 16 years old, which is why they're here. And they weren't there last year or the year before. They've had to develop, and some of that stuff is completely out of their control, right? Maturity and going through that phase in their life where they start to change. Some of those kids do that very early, and it showcases that. But that mentality is, I think, stems from society of wanting to be a part of something, whether you get something out of it or not. It's the social media. Hey, look, my kid committed to Alabama. And then 4 years later, he doesn't know what it's like to win because he didn't play. He might have transferred. He might have just been there. Now, those experiences are unique and great, but I think a lot of times parents and players struggle with the fact that they have to look in the mirror and use some reality and go, yeah, my kid can't do that, or I'm not running a 6.6 and throwing 85 plus across the diamond. And if you can't do that, congrats on being the other 90% of the world, because not very many people can. So what's next? I will say, though, I love those kids. I don't recruit kids that grow up with an Allegheny A on their wall. To me, they don't have that. I want to play. I want to play. I want to go to Notre Dame, and I'm still waiting on them to call me. So I grew up watching Rudy, and I loved it. That's where I wanted to play college baseball. They never called, and eventually reality had to set in, right? And I started looking elsewhere. That's everybody, right? They should have high expectations. They should want to go play in the best baseball team or in the best conference in the country. Well, it's not for everybody. And when it's not, all right, what are my other options? And you should still have the same want. You still want a big school mentality. You still want the feeling that playing for Pitt would give you. But not everybody's going to get a chance to play at Pitt. So find the school that makes you feel that way, where you're going to be celebrated versus tolerated. And, I think a lot of that just has to do with reality and going and watching college baseball. I think in the last couple of years, I think the baseball has improved tremendously. And when I say that, I think everybody's back end of the roster is so much better. That's at least what I've noticed. Like, I think we have a really good team, really talented team. And I think that's because the depth on our team is so much better, because the back end players can really play. And in 2013, we played in the conference championship game. And it was the last time we've been there. This team would absolutely smoke that team. but that's only because I think the depth was so poor. Not so poor, just not going to help us win a lot of college baseball games. Now there's guys, I'm 6, 7 deep in the outfield because every single guy can play and they can hit, and they've got to separate themselves. So I think getting out and watching some games and taking your kid and just saying, you think you can do that? I've been watching you play since you've been, if that comes from the parents, it's going to go a lot further with the kid, because nobody wants to tell their kid, hey, you're probably not going to play for Vanderbilt this year. But not every kid's going to be a doctor or the president either. And it's just reality. And it's totally okay to want those things, not get them. Now what's next? Because after baseball and after college, that's life. You want something, you're not going to get it. What's next? It's just about understanding and going to good people that can give you honest evaluations. If you're a parent, and you're not very good at evaluating, where the kid's skill is, take them to somebody that'll do it for free. Because if you're going to pay them, everybody's going to feel better taking that money and telling you something that may be a little bit more inflated than it needs to be. But you want an honest eval, it's usually for free. And I think that stuff is invaluable. But being told that, these are the schools and the ranges he should look, and that's a hard conversation. But it's gonna set you up for more success guiding your child to the fit that may be for him.
Those are some really, really incredible key points. Set your goals to be lofty, go chase them, work your butt off, be in the gym. And it's just like being on a field on a team right now. You deal with adversity.
Catch new episodes of the Tiger Interview Series on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and you can watch it on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to get notified of future episodes by setting notifications to all. And check out our website, rawlingstigers.com, for club baseball and softball information.